Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today I'm doing some holiday baking in my new oven. At the end of this video, I am gonna kind of give you a brief rundown of what's going on here in the kitchen, but I wanna get to the recipe first in case anyone came just for that. You'll have to excuse the baby, he's making kind of some loud sleeping noises. Today I'm gonna be showing you how to make an einkorn pie. Now I've been really into using my einkorn flour lately. I ordered a whole bunch kind of in bulk for holiday baking. I'll link some sources below of the einkorn that I use, but I grabbed some all-purpose einkorn. I wanted to try my hand at cookies, pie, biscuits, anything like that. Obviously, I much prefer sourdough, but for things that you can't really sour, things that don't have that extra liquid component, I like to use the ancient grain einkorn. It's a healthier alternative, especially if you aren't able to tolerate modern grains very well. I'll have more info on that on the blog, so I'll link some sources in the description box below if you're interested in learning the benefits of einkorn. But it does require a little bit of tweaking to traditional recipes. You usually need about 25% more einkorn flour than you need regular modern day wheat flour. So I've accounted for that in some of my recipes. So over on the blog, I do have a einkorn Christmas cookie recipe that's delicious, but today, pie crust. So the first thing I did for this recipe was get the dough going because I had some other things to do in my kitchen and the dough needed to sit and refrigerate to be workable. So to do that, I combined 2.5 cups of all-purpose einkorn flour with 3/4 of a cup of frozen butter cut in chunks. To the butter and einkorn mixture, I add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I just combine that in a food processor. I also sometimes use one of the dough blenders, but I couldn't find mine today. The goal is to keep your warm hands out of the dough because it comes together better whenever it's really cold. I used to try to skip this step and my pies never turned out. After I pulsed to combine the butter and the flour, I just added in 6 or 7 tablespoons of ice cold water. Again, don't skip this step, do use ice cold, and add the water until it just comes together. You don't want too much water, so you just want to go until it's just kind of coming together to form a ball. I just divided that large amount of dough into 2 parts. One will be for the bottom of the pie crust, one for the top, and put it back in the freezer. So this is an important step to make it really workable. To make my filling, I peeled about 5 or 6 apples. The goal is to get about 6 cups of sliced apples and then slice them really thinly. Grated the zest of 1 lemon and added the juice of 1 lemon. I like to kind of add the juice of the lemon as I'm cutting, that way none of them brown. I brought the dough back out of the freezer and put it on to a lightly floured work surface and just rolled it out until it was much larger than my pie pan. Just flipped the dough into the pie pan and trimmed any excess around the sides. To that, I added 3/4 of a cup of organic sugar, 2 tablespoons of einkorn flour, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. After that, I added my filling and then dotted it with a tablespoon of butter. And then I rolled out the other disc of dough and added it to the top of the filling. After trimming the top layer, I just rolled the 2 crusts, the bottom crust and the top crust together, and then crimped the outside edges with my fingers. I brushed the top with a little bit of milk and then added some venting slits to the top of the pie. Okay, now it is baking in my oven. I just put it in at 425 degrees for about 30 minutes. And now we'll enjoy some delicious, healthier apple pie. Perfect for Christmas baking. Now for a little update on the kitchen, I know I shared with you a little bit about this in a recent video. We had the cabinets installed as planned, but we had a couple of hiccups. The plan has changed many, many times over the course of the last 6 months, just with probably too much thinking and also a lot of back and forth with logistics. So when the cabinets went in, we found a few more issues. Now this mostly just happens because I'm trying to make these really old things work. So I have an old cast iron sink, I have this old stove, and I have a house that kind of has uneven floors because it's 130 years old. And so with that, we had a lot of surprises. Now I'm gonna go more into this in another video, like a complete kitchen update video. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my stove, just a touch. I'm gonna make a whole new video separate on this topic because I love it and I'm really glad we went for it, even though it kind of was scary. So this is a 1949 caloric stove. It was sitting in our garage for probably 6 months before it came in here. We found it on Facebook Marketplace for $300. We hired someone to restore it, and so we probably have close to $1,000, maybe a little bit more in it now, which made me a bit nervous because it feels so antique. I was thinking that we're kind of stepping back in time and kind of using something that isn't practical today. But after getting to know this stove, so I've had it for probably a week in full working order. I've had the top part working for a lot longer. We just got the thermostat fixed because it wasn't holding the right temperature. I can tell you that I love this stove. It works just like, in my opinion, a modern gas stove. Now the only difference is I do have to light the oven portion with a match. Now the top 4 burners do have a pilot light, but the bottom does not. And so I had to get familiar with how to actually do that. But now that I'm comfortable with it, it is just a breeze. And there's so many things I love about my antique stove. I love that there is this part in the middle because it's a good place as a work surface to cut things up, to set things, to set an extra pot. I feel like all stoves should have this. It obviously took up a larger footprint in our kitchen because of it, but it is just so nice. It also has a working light. Again, this just makes so much sense to me. I come over here at night whenever the light isn't pouring through this window, and it's just such a nice, close to my work surface light as opposed to the overhead light, which is kind of far away. It makes so much sense. So hopefully I will have a full kitchen update very soon. We're supposed to still be getting the cabinets that are getting redone, the sink and the counters all still by Christmas. I will not be at all surprised if we don't because of the number of curveballs that has been thrown during this process. However, I'm really not in a huge hurry. I keep having to remind myself that there is no deadline. I keep thinking that there's a deadline. It'll be nice when we don't have to wash dishes in the sink in the bathroom, but I do want to make sure that I'm getting what I want because we've waited this long. There is really no hurry. We might as well get what we want in this kitchen renovation. So hopefully another update for you soon. All right, well, if you want to make this pie, the recipe will be also on the blog with the printable recipe card version so that you can make it for you and your family this Christmas season. And you can use EINKORN, which is a healthier alternative to regular flour, but still makes a delicious product. All right, well, if you are brand new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I make 2 new videos every week on food from scratch, natural living, and a handmade home. Thank you so much for stopping by the farmhouse.